Hey friends, welcome to the Time for Living podcast, your ultimate guide to finding the time you need to crush your business dreams while still having time to live your one beautiful life. I'm your host, Lucy Clark, a devoted boy mum, dedicated business owner and time-finding expert. Say goodbye to that I'm too busy mindset that's holding you back from growing your online business. No more feeling overwhelmed or stuck in the same place year after year. Each week, we'll dive deep into strategies for being intentional with your precious time so you can hit those business goals while still making time for yourself and your family. If you're ready to create more time, get practical tips and prioritize the steps that will make the biggest impact on your business and life, then you're in the right spot. Pop in your earbuds, steal a quiet moment, and let's find time together.
You know that feeling when you're publishing consistently, showing up on stories, posting regularly, showing your face, and it feels like you're doing everything right, but nothing's actually moving. Like the more visible you become, the harder it gets to see what's working. That's not because you're inconsistent. It's because more content without decision clarity creates noise instead of momentum. And here's what makes that so confusing when growth feels flat or fragile. Increasing output is the most knee-jerk response you can make. Everyone tells you to stay consistent, to show up daily, to be visible where your people are. And all that sounds responsible. But when you're already stretched thin and revenue isn't moving the way you need it to, adding more content doesn't create growth. It creates fragmentation. So today we're naming why that breaks and what actually creates forward motion when you're already busy. Let's start with the belief that's running underneath all of this. When revenue feels unpredictable or growth feels stuck, the most common instinct is to increase visibility, post more, show up more, be seen more. It sounds responsible, it feels active, and everywhere you look, someone is reinforcing it. A renowned business coach says consistency is key. Your peers are posting daily. The algorithm rewards frequency. So you add another platform. You start showing up on stories. You commit to weekly emails even though you're not sure what to say. And at first, it feels like progress. You're visible, you're putting yourself out there, you're doing the thing everyone says you're supposed to do. But here's what's actually happening. When you add content without clarity about what decision that content is meant to hold, you're not building momentum. You're fragmenting your own attention across more surfaces that all require maintenance. And the invisible cost isn't just time. It's that every new place you're showing up becomes another place you have to decide what to say, when to say it, and whether it worked. So you're not creating more content, you're creating more held decisions. And when those decisions stay unresolved, they don't just sit there quietly, they stack, they compound, they pull your focus away from one or two things that are actually driving revenue. And here's why this pattern is so hard to break. First, busyness feels safer than stillness when revenue is inconsistent. If you're posting, at least you're doing something. If you're visible, at least people know you exist. And when things feel uncertain, any action, reduces the discomfort of waiting. It's easier to stay busy than to sit with a question. Is this actually working? Second, visibility norms make output feel like the baseline expectation. If everyone else is posting daily, showing up on stories and sending emails, staying quiet feels like falling behind. You see other people in your space maintaining presence across 3, 4, 5 platforms, and it starts to feel like that's just what you have to do to stay competitive. So you match the pace, not because it's strategic, but because it feels like the cost of staying relevant. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Now we have AI tools that make it easier than ever to create more content faster. You can generate captions, you can repurpose one post into 10, you can be everywhere without technically spending more time. And on the surface, that sounds like the solution. But here's the truth. AI cannot fix a broken strategy. If you don't know what you're putting out, why you're doing it, and how it actually leads to revenue, creating more of it faster doesn't help. It just feeds the overstuffed internet with content that doesn't convert. The opportunity with AI isn't to be everywhere and make more stuff. It's to support the strategic work you're doing without burning out in the process. But that only works if you know what your strategy is in the first place. Third, consistency advice collapses all content into one undifferentiated category. You're told to stay consistent without anyone asking, consistent towards what? No one's asking whether that LinkedIn post is connected to the same goal as your Instagram stories. No one's asking whether your email list and your social platforms are guiding people down the same path or scattering their attention across multiple directions. So you show up everywhere because no one told you it was okay to choose. And here's the last piece that makes this so sticky. When you do see a result, a reply, a lead, a sale, it often comes from something you posted recently. So your brain connects visibility with outcome. Someone saw your story and reached out. Someone read your post and booked a call. And the next time growth stalls, the logical response feels like more of that. But correlation isn't causation. The result didn't come because you were visible. It came because someone was already ready and your content happened to land in that moment. The rest of your output is still there, still requiring decisions, still pulling focus. And none of it is connected to a clear path that converts attention into revenue. So let's talk about where this actually falls apart. When you add content without a clear revenue path, three things happen. First, your attention scatters across platforms instead of moving people forward. Every new post is a decision point. Did it work? Should I do more of that? Was that the right message? Do I need to follow up? And if you're posting across multiple platforms, Instagram, email, LinkedIn, stories, reels, those questions multiply across every surface. You're not managing content anymore. You're managing an uncontained decision system that never resolves. You're creating maintenance work that never turns into revenue. And the more places you're showing up, the less capacity you have to actually see what's working, because you're too busy deciding what to post next. Second, visibility replaces conversion as your metric for success. You start measuring whether people saw you, not whether they moved closer to buying. Did that post get engagement? Did people watch the story? Did the email get opened? And those metrics feel good in the moment. They make you feel like something is happening. But engagement isn't revenue. Visibility isn't momentum. And the more places you're maintaining visibility, the easier it is to confuse awareness with progress. So the thing that's supposed to create growth, being visible, actually makes it harder to see what's driving revenue, because you're measuring activity instead of outcome. Third, your content becomes a dead end instead of a pathway. Content is meant to guide someone from I see you to I'm ready to work with you. It's supposed to create a clear path forward. But when you're showing up everywhere without a clear next step, people see you in multiple places and never move forward in one place. They follow you on Instagram, they're on your email list, they see your LinkedIn posts, and they feel like they know you. But they're not closer to buying, because awareness without a pathway doesn't convert. It just creates more surface area for you to manage without any return. And here's what's tricky about this. You can use AI to help you show up more consistently. You can automate captions, repurpose content, batch create weeks of posts in an hour. But if those posts aren't connected to a revenue path, all you're doing is automating the problem. You're creating more content that doesn't lead anywhere, just faster. And here's the part that's the hardest to name. When this happens, it's easy to think the problem is that you're not posting enough, or that your messaging isn't clear enough, or that you need a better content strategy. Maybe you need a better hook. Maybe you need to post at a different time. Maybe you need to try a different format. But the real issue isn't effort. It's that you're creating content that doesn't connect to revenue. You're building visibility without a structure that converts that visibility into anything. And no amount of additional content, whether you create it manually or with AI, fixes that. So here's the model that will move you forward in the right direction, because momentum doesn't come from being seen more. It comes from moving people forward with less. Let me say that again. Growth stalls when your content exists without a revenue path, not when your visibility is low. And the difference between visibility and a revenue pathway is this. Visibility is about showing up. A revenue pathway is about what happens after someone sees you. Without a pathway, every post is an island. People see it, maybe they like it, maybe they save it, and then nothing happens. There's no clear next step. There's no connected journey. There's just, I saw this, and now I'll scroll on to the next thing. With a pathway, content is connected. Each piece moves someone closer to a clear next step that leads to revenue. It's not about being everywhere. It's about being clear in one place that actually converts. And here's what makes this so clarifying. When you stop trying to be visible everywhere and instead build one clear path from I see you to I'm ready, you don't lose momentum, you gain it. Because instead of maintaining presence across 5 fragmented platforms, you're directing attention through one structure that converts. Instead of posting because it feels like you should, you're creating because you know where that content leads. Instead of managing a dozen open loops, did that work? Should I do more? What comes next? You have one path that either moves people forward or it doesn't. And instead of wondering if something worked, you can see whether people move forward. You can see if they took the next step. You can see if visibility turned into a conversation, a lead, or a sale. And this is where AI can actually help. Not by helping you create more content, but by helping you maintain the content you already know works without it consuming all your time. Because everything works, and also everything doesn't work. What works for your business is different than what works for someone else's. Your audience is different, your strengths are different, your goals are different. And the smartest thing you can do is figure out what your strengths are, build a plan that aligns with those strengths, and then use tools, including AI, to support that plan. Not to replace strategy, not to be everywhere, but to do the strategic work you've identified without burning out in the process. This is why businesses that look quiet often move faster than businesses that look busy. It's not because they're doing less. It's not because they have some secret strategy. It's because their content is connected to revenue. They're not scattering attention, they're directing it. And that makes all the difference. So if you've been feeling like the answer is to show up more, post more, or be seen more, and it's not working, nothing is wrong with your effort. You're not behind, you're not doing it wrong, you're overloaded, and the solution isn't more output. It's a clearer path from content to revenue. And here's what to do this week. Pick your primary revenue platform, the one place where people actually book calls, buy from you, or reach out to work with you. Not the platform with the most followers, not the platform where you get the most engagement, the platform where revenue actually happens. That's your revenue platform. Everything else is secondary. And once you've identified it, here's the action. For the next 7 days, only create content on that one platform. Pause everything else. Not forever, just 1 week. No Instagram stories, no LinkedIn posts, no weekly email, if that's not where your revenue comes from. And put all the energy you'd normally scatter across multiple platforms into making that one revenue-connected platform as clear and focused as possible. Make every post on that platform guide people towards one next step. The same next step, over and over. See what happens when your attention isn't fragmented. See if leads increase when your content has one clear path instead of 5 competing ones. See if it feels easier to know what to say when you're not trying to show up everywhere at once. Most of the time, revenue doesn't drop when you do this. It stabilizes. Sometimes it even increases because you're finally directing attention instead of scattering it. And that's the signal. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be clear in one place that actually converts. And next week, we're going to keep this theme going by looking at why your business feels like it requires all of you all the time. And what happens when you redesign it to run without you. This isn't about doing less, it's about building differently. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in to the Time for Living podcast today. If this episode inspired you to take action and save time, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a written review and subscribe over on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback means the world to me and helps us reach even more amazing people like you. If you know a friend who needs to hear this message, share this episode with them. And remember, your time is precious, so make every moment count. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep living, and keep making time for what matters most.